So in today's video, we'll be going over Alsace builds, all of them for every scenario possible that you guys can imagine. Alright, it's going to be a quick video, hopefully. So let's get this underway. So, Alsace is one of those ships that's going to be good in mob and boss scenarios. So to kick things off, we're going to start off with the mob scenario. Now, mob scenario can be whatever you guys desire. You can use light armor guns, medium armor guns, or heavy armor guns if you guys want to. Preferably either light or medium armor though, because there's not that many heavy armor enemies for mobs. So my best option for you guys is that if you guys have a fast gun like a 457 or the prior version, so the gold version from Gear Labs, that can work just fine. If you guys want to use a light armor gun though, I say you can use Odin gun, but it's not that strong. I say if you guys have like a 456 or 406, sorry, 406, or even the New Jersey gun, use one of those instead for mobbing, because it is a very strong barrage that you're using. And then you have a solid gun like a 406 MK6, so either of these can work just fine, and I'll get you through most of the game for campaign. Like this gun is so reliable, you can't go wrong with it. And she has a preload, so you're guaranteed to slap this thing immediately as soon as the battle starts. So wave clearing starts immediately as soon as the battle starts. So mobbing is like that. And then toss in your highest firepower light cruiser gun. And then whatever anti-air you guys want to use. You guys can use, for campaign, you can use the regular anti-air if you guys want to. These work just fine because there are planes eventually in the maps. So I will use like, if you guys have the twin 113s, these are very solid options, so something like this can work just fine. And then have both pencil shells. I highly advise you guys get both pencils, because you can't go wrong with both of them on a battleship, especially when it has preload, because that's very strong at the beginning. Okay, so the light armor part, that's going to be very simple. Either use this gun, or if you guys have the New Jersey gun, which is going to be in Gear Labs probably later this year, use this because it is a very powerful, very disgusting. Now when it comes to anti-air, either use the twin 134s, which is Dido anti-airs, or the Stag Bofors, which are these bad boys here. Whichever you guys prefer, either 15 firepower or 10 hit is up to you. Again, my rule of thumb is if the enemy is 5 levels or more than you, use the hit Stag Bofors. If it's roughly about the same level as you, then stick to firepower, because you can't go wrong with more damage, right? So in this case, I'll just toss on the Dido anti-air just because, and this is what I'll probably use with like armor content for anything that's like 125-ish and lower for bossing. Now medium armor, this is the part where it gets really crazy. So you can't really go wrong with a 457. It's very solid. One thing to consider when doing boss setups, I should have mentioned this in light armor as well too, is that if you guys are using Vanguard and another heavy hitter like Bismarck II or Musashi, then you want to have Alsace go in between them. Now this is very difficult without griefing your damage output in some kind of way. So what I mean by this is that if you guys want to have Alsace be second, she has to be in a position where she's faster than Musashi or faster than Bismarck II. Now being faster than Musashi is no big deal, because Musashi has a ridiculously slow reload speed, so by no means is that like hard, because it is very easy to outspeed Musashi. But Bismarck II is a pain, because Bismarck II is one of the best damage dealing battleships we have in the game as of right now, and to get her to go last is really difficult because she is super speedy. She has a skill somewhere here that makes it so she gets 15% reload or something. I don't know where it is, but it's somewhere in this skill line somewhere. It's like 15% or 10% reload or something like that. I forgot her kid, but I know she has a reload buff because she's a super speedy. There it is. Increase the reload of this ship by 15%. It's super speedy. It is ridiculously hard to get her to go last, so at best you could probably get like Vanguard, then Bismarck II, then Alsace, which is fine. You don't lose out on that much damage. but you kind of want to have her go last, and that is very difficult with the guns we have in the game as of right now. So if you guys can do that, that's great. If you guys can't do that, it's no big deal. Most bosses still go down within that time frame of you even without min-maxing the perfect scenario for an auto setup. It's not that big of a deal. But again, depending on this, depending on the ships that you have, if you have Vanguard, you want Alsace to go second. If you guys don't have Vanguard, then you want Alsace to go first. So having a fast gun like a 457 or anything that makes it so she goes first, like a fire control radar, will make your life much easier because you want to have that debuff on the enemy to do as much damage as possible. So any fast gun like that can work just fine. Now if you guys want to get more into technical bossing scenarios for medium armor, we also have the Marco Polo gun, a solid option. The Champagne gun, can never go wrong with this gun as well too, very, very good. And lastly, probably the best medium armor gun we have as of right now, the SETUPS gun. So if you guys want to toss this on her, you can. Just keep in mind that this is probably the slowest medium armor gun we have that's good for bossing, minus the Yamato gun. So you want to have this on Bismarck too, ideally, but if you guys don't want to do that, that's fine. Toss on Alsace and it works just good. Now another thing is the Yamato gun I just mentioned. This gun is ridiculously powerful, disgustingly broken for heavy armor, but Alsace is probably the best ship that can utilize this gun to its fullest potential. Why? Because she has preload. When you have preload, for the first shot you ignore all fire rate of that gun. So even though it says 25 seconds here, your first shot is at 0 seconds. So that way you get a very high uptime with the Yamato gun, meaning you'll put out some crazy damage with this gun. She is the perfect ship to use this gun. Initially, I thought this gun was going to make Champagne really broken. Now, she can use it to an extent, but it's not like super good because her barrage is not that powerful. While on Alsace, this gun is an absolute monster. Very good for heavy armor. Disgustingly good output. If you have any heavy armor scenarios that you need to use this gun for. Very good. Now, when it gets to the heavy armor content, basically the same scenario here. 457s if you guys want speed. Champagne gun, always reliable. I wouldn't use the Marco Polo gun because sap isn't powerful for heavy armor, and I think the SETUPS gun isn't that great on heavy armor as well too. I think the Champagne gun is a little bit better. Yeah, it is. So I wouldn't use Marco Polo gun or SETUPS gun for heavy armor. But the 457, the Champagne gun, as well as the Yamato gun right here, if you guys want to go a little crazy, are solid options for heavy armor. So something like this, if you guys want. Now you may have to tweak up the fire rate a little bit, so use some fire control radars as needed. This right here is very good for Yamato gun setups because it decreases her main volley spread by 2. And Yamato gun is a super inaccurate gun, despite how powerful it is. It has a spread of where is it at? 19, so not the most accurate, but it's not like the worst. Having a spread lowered by 2 is really good for Yamato gun. Alright, and as for auxiliaries, same thing. Highest firepower light cruiser gun, either the Stag Bofors or the Dido AA, and then double pencils or replace one of the pencils with a fire control radar. Either the rainbow one or the gold one works just fine, and then just play around with setups until you find something that either lets Alsace go first or Alsace go second. Now if she goes last, that's also fine, but if it's a long fight, you kind of want to stack up her passive to the point where she gets this buff or this debuff permanently, and the best way to do that is to have a French Vanguard in your fleet. My best example of this scenario would be Brest, because as of right now there's no like really good like third option for a Vanguard for battleships that can buff as well as like tank or something. So in a scenario like this, the best choice you have is just a full-on tank. So Brest here is a very solid option. Lets it so you can be much more durable, has some heals as well too, and she can stack up the Alsace passive much faster. You can also use a ship like Marcellus, who can also buff your Alsace as well too. The issue with this ship is that she doesn't do that much damage, and she only is buffing Alsace and not the rest of the fleet. So if you guys want just this though, that can work. but I say use like a solid option. Like breast is like probably the best example in this case, because there's no one that can actually take the heavy cruiser spot permanently or the tank spot permanently. So just use breast and then use Plymouth Helena, whatever you guys need, and you guys should be good to go. All right, so those are my builds for you guys. Hopefully you guys learned something and you guys enjoy it. Thank you guys for watching. As always, smash that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next video as always.